Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Francis, with my amazing co-host. We have Michelle up top. How are you today, Michelle?
I'm good. Feeling a little chaotic, but that's okay. It was a chaotic episode.
Little Wednesday chaos. Nothing's wrong with that.
It's like, nothing is more important to me on Wednesdays than watching the challenge. So like when I'm having trouble watching and like something's happening, I'm just so like, this is like a devastating. But I got through it all. I just watched it out of order. But yeah, a crazy episode. Lots of I'm happy about it as a whole. Yeah. It was, but there were some moments.
I think it was a great episode as well.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. I didn't check to see that you were having trouble because I would have given you like US TV Go as an idea long before, but I just didn't check my messages. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's so fine.
Sorry. I didn't think that anything was happening, especially because I can see that it's recording. So when I see it's recording, I'm always like, okay, that means that there's a feed for sure that's going to be recording that you could watch. So I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
Love it.
And Matthew is also here. How are you tonight, Matthew?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm just glad Kyland had a much more graceful exit than last time. So
fair. Unless they cut out something. Never know.
Possibly.
Never know. Well, Matthew, though, did you watch the previously on today? Because like I was definitely knowing that you don't like to watch it. Now I'm going to watch it for sure and see whether or not you watched it.
So I didn't watch it, but I have been noticing lately, like the first scene of the episode, heavily displays a certain person. So they were showing Leo, first or second scene, like Leo Skyping with his girlfriend. Like, oh, this is not good. Like, he's definitely going home. So again, I mean, I was surprised by the result of the episode, but was definitely not surprised to see Leo in a lot of trouble tonight.
So we're here to talk about the Challenge USA Season 1 episode. Is it 7? I think we're on episode 7.
Yeah.
And it still looks like there's only going to be 10 episodes. I know you were thinking, was it you, Matthew, that was thinking?
No,
13?
So I actually got confirmation there's going to be 11 episodes.
11.
So there looks like there'll probably be 2 more episodes and then a 2-part finale.
That's it? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so sad. It's just so satisfying watching this season. So the previously on that you didn't watch, it had Alyssa saying previously on the challenge, and it says things got steamy. And so Cash, Angela, and Kyland are in some sort of hot tub, hot springs type thing, saying things got steamy. So I didn't really lead that much to it.
Nothing got steamy. There's zero steam in this.
No steam.
Season.
Well, unless you talk about like the cars that like kind of overheated or like that black smoke, maybe.
But that's this week. They're like, things got steamy last week. What got steamy last week?
Oh, right. You're right. Things got steamy. What happened last week?
Sarah's ears. Like
yeah, no steam. It's all a lie. So we have the algorithm in play. So we have Enzo and Angela. We have Danny and Justine. I thought it was a pretty strong team there, and he seemed pretty happy about that. I'm saying that she's the MVP of the season, and I could kind of agree with that so far. Like, she's been doing pretty well, and we're both we're all pretty jazzed to have her come back in a future season. So,
and to win 2 eliminations, very impressive.
Like, absolutely.
Not many people have won more than 3 eliminations and survived them. Most people get cut by the third one. It's just a thing I've noticed. Like, Wes is one of the only people. There's a couple people who've done many, but so if, like, to have 2 for 2 so far, she's doing well.
Ooh, Danita has maybe what the tea is. Thanks for being here, Danita. So heard Ben got steamy last week. We just didn't see it. That's not sexy steamy.
Oh, like, angry.
Oh, angry. Steamy. Sorry. I got excited and now I'm like, of course it's Ben. Of course not. Sorry. Yeah, I also heard that he freaked out and they edited it out and that people were scared at the bunker and they had to like sleep in another area or something.
And they had like a security guy sleeping there because he was like pacing, probably with steam coming out of his ears.
Absurd. Like, come on.
Yeah, apparently like trying to get in Dom's face, like to get physical. And Derek X and Shannon in their exit press were talking all about it. Yeah, they had extra security, like 24/7, and Ben was just going ballistic, supposedly.
He didn't even go into elimination. He didn't even go into elimination? Like, I actually am like, what? You also have been saying you're like looking at Tyson the whole season. You've been like, this is my enemy. Like, I don't trust him. So then why are you so like, then you shouldn't be shocked. You're just like, this anger makes no sense.
I don't know why it's so angry. I mean, I don't resolve things like that. Like, you know, so I don't get that kind of angry. And maybe when I was younger, like I would be like angry, but like, it's just surprising to me that he doesn't know how to handle his anger, and he's an adult male. Like he's definitely an adult. So it's very surprising. Sophie's also here. Yes, we only have a few more weeks, it seems. But Sophie wants to know if we think that we'll get an All Stars 4.
I think so, but maybe on the back burner. I don't know right now. But I could see them do it. I hope they do it. I hope they do it.
I have been hearing, and I don't know if it's just people speculating, but that it's been challenging to get players to play because people for All Stars all have like families and stuff like that and jobs and careers. And so, but I'm like, really? I feel like if I were to try to cast All Stars 4, that I could get everybody to play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, what's the
maybe they're not offering them enough money. I don't know. Maybe. But I also think that like, maybe they're saying that, but I think it's more to do with the fact that there's so much other challenge content happening right now. That they're just not putting as much focus and money and time into it. Because TJ also has to be available for it as well. And he also has a life, you know, he can't just film challenges like all year round. So
yeah, I could see, I mean, looks like the upcoming season's done filming now, so I would imagine they'll film another season for Flagship, and then whatever this like World Cup is, I imagine TJ will be part of that as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd say like All Stars 4, I think it will happen, but it might be like next summer. Yeah.
Next summer. Okay. That's even further than I was expecting. But yeah, I agree with both of you that there's just so much going on. They still have to do 3 other seasons of, assuming 11 episodes of the challenge in Argentina, the UK, and Australia. That like, when's that going to air? And so I do agree that they're probably taking precedence to do those first and then deal with All Stars later. So especially building off of this momentum, like I think this momentum has been pretty good from my experience. So yeah. So sad though, because like I do miss some of the old players, but I guess we'll get a little bit of a fix for them for season 38. So other pairs are David and Cashay. Cashay didn't look that excited about that one. And she's like, oh, okay.
I mean, he proved himself, but you know,
he's still, I guess what it is that he's just, I think that he doesn't make any sort of alliances or connections in that way. And so maybe she's just worried that people might just throw him in because like they don't have any sort of allegiance to him. Like I know that they have like the Winners Alliance and stuff like that. And so they're both a part of that. But if somebody that's not in that alliance, you know, goes in or wins or is going to be going in, whatever, and they might just throw them in because they don't have an allegiance to them. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be partnered with David. Most likely David, nor like, where's my remote? David, and probably Leo, I wouldn't want to be paired with either, just because he's been weak and then people just don't want to work with him. So I understand a little bit why she doesn't want to do that.
But I mean, also like, I wouldn't really want to be partners with Enzo or Dom. I mean, I know Dom won today.
Enzo would be, sorry.
Yeah. So it was Enzo and Dom would be tough for a lot of dailies. This one was kind of anyone could have won, but not like half the men in the house are not super exciting options for the women.
Enzo would be my worst choice. I would pick Leo and I would pick David 1,000,000 times over Enzo.
Why is this?
Because the effort is what's most important. You can leave a game and lose and be satisfied that you gave it your all and it was just, you know, that you played fair and square. To have a situation where someone screws you over because they're not willing to try is just not a risk that I would feel as good about. And the only benefit Enzo has is that he's taller. He doesn't have more strength, I even think, than David or Leo. Like, I think that he doesn't really train at all. It seems that way to me, at least.
I mean, I might lean Enzo a little bit over Leo in strength, but at the same time, like, they're not doing super strength-based challenges, at least thus far. So Yeah, I think Enzo is probably at the bottom for me as well.
Especially after this episode, because we can see, like, by the end, like, I even think Enzo being so tall, I don't think he would have been as solid and as hardworking as Leo was in the elimination. Truly.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with that. So there was somebody in the comments from last week's episode saying that he felt that, yes, Tyson's great at swimming, but Enzo would beat him in a hall brawl. What do you think about that?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I
think Danny would beat Tyson in a hall brawl.
Yes, Danny's going to beat Tyson.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
brawl, of course.
Of course. I think Ben, it would be hard for him to beat Ben in a hall brawl for sure. But Enzo, no.
Well, I was like kind of agreeing with him, like maybe, because he was just like, we were kind of going back and forth. And I'm like, there's no way that Enzo was going to beat Tyson down in the sand. So I was like thinking that it was like that last week's elimination that he was talking about. And so he was saying like in a hall brawl. And I'm like, Enzo is a little bit scrappier.
He could. Enzo could. There's potential for him to beat, but I would still put my money on Tyson because Tyson, as we know, trained in hall brawl-esque type things. So he probably has some tricks up his sleeve. And he, you know what I mean? He's got that drive. And so I think it would be hard for Enzo to win because as soon as they make contact, I can see Enzo getting into a position where Enzo can't move. Sorry, Tyson getting into a position Enzo can't move. And like who can stay
the longest, smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And he's got all the endurance in the world. So I think that like they would get stuck and then Tyson would just like, you know,
wear him out.
Yeah.
I can see that too.
Sure. I think ultimately like Tyson would kind of grab onto his legs, wait it out. It's like he would have a much better strategy there. And I don't think Enzo is strong enough that he could just physically dominate him the same way like a Fessy or a Zach or someone like that could. So yeah, I mean, ultimately,
we don't say those names on this podcast.
Yeah, so I really don't think there's really anything Enzo would beat Tyson at 1-on-1.
Yeah, but maybe a hall brawl. But like, I totally hear what you guys both are saying with him outsmarting him for sure. For sure. So thank you for the super chat, Sophie. So Sophie wants to know, why can't partners be same sex like the MTV Challenge have done before? I think it's just the type of game that they're doing with them having 2 men and 2 women, or 4 men, like 4 men, 4 women, like 8 players representing the winners. So I would assume that just to keep that even. I don't know. Why do you think that they're not doing same sex partnerships?
I personally think, I mean, maybe down the road they would consider it, but I just think it's like a little bit cleaner storytelling when you know at the end of every episode you're going to vote in 1 man, 1 woman. 1 man, 1 woman's going to go home. Just kind of makes things a little bit easier to follow. And I would imagine there's a lot of new viewers with the show being on CBS. So to simplify things a little bit and pair the teams up like that, I think it's just a little bit cleaner.
Definitely agree. All right, some other partners are Kyland and Kyra, Leo and Alyssa, Domenick and Cayla, Tyson and Sarah, and Ben and Desi. So we had an idea that Tyson and Sarah were going to be partnered together from the preview from last episode. I definitely thought that they were going to be in a power position, but it seems like what I find is very interesting is that Sarah has had 2 good partners, and both times she's not able to get herself the money to win the final, to run the final.
Mm-hmm. And she keeps saying, like she says at the beginning of this episode, either way, like this is a win for me. Either like I'll win the challenge and qualify, or maybe I don't. And then like I feel confident with Tyson, like in the sand. Like that is such an idiotic statement to make. We all know that eliminations can be anything, and that the number one thing in a partner elimination is you better have good communication, because that can take you further than a lot of other things depending on what it is. If someone's blind, like there's so many factors involved, and especially with this elimination, like there's questions you just might not know the answer to. So really, for her to be like, the way I'm going to get my money is to go in this way with Tyson because I feel so good, and he doesn't want to go in, what makes you think he's going to perform well for you as a partner? Like he's petty enough to be like,
maybe.
I don't know, but also I just think it's a risk, and why take that risk when, like, if she thinks she's so strong, then she should think that she will win a daily at some point. why hasn't she won one yet? Like, she's supposedly the strongest female here, like so much stronger than everyone else. Well, like,
I'll talk.
win the challenge then. That should be, you shouldn't even be talking about going to an elimination. She's just trying to like freak him out. And like, I just feel like it's very performative.
Mm-hmm. Very annoying. So Alyssa is lying in her confessional about being really excited to be working with Leo, that he's super strong. I thought it was a cute moment. You know, she sold it pretty well. Like, I knew obviously she was lying, but she did a pretty good job acting there. So Angela, Tyson, and Kyland they've won the most amount of challenges so far. And Domenick is noticing this. So he feels like he needs to do something. So this is probably where you, Matthew, got the insight that like, oh, Domenick is going to probably be part of this episode for the fact that like that was featured in the beginning. Did that tip you off?
Yeah, I mean, I started to think, all right, a little weird. I didn't really picture Dom and Cayla winning a daily. So I thought maybe it was going to backfire on them and we were going to see Dom and Cayla versus Alyssa and Leo. That was my kind of first thought there. And then I forgot. I think I saw in the preview what the daily was, but I guess I forgot. And then when it kind of started, I realized, you know what, maybe they could win this one.
For sure. I definitely forgot what the daily was going to be until it happened. It's very funny how, like, you know, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, it's going to be so cool. And then I completely forgot what the daily was going to be. So we see Tyson and Sarah having a chat, and she's so like, she says that they're good and they shake on it. And like, he's like, yeah, I'll never believe that we're good. And she's kind of saying the same thing. It's kind of funny.
It's just, it's funny to me because Tyson says that stuff with her. And then he's like, yeah, like there's no way she actually trusts me. Of course,
and she thinks it.
She thinks that she's persuading him. She's like, yeah, he thinks I want him to think that I trust him. Like I want him to think this is what you do in your game, and this is why he's targeting you because he knows this is what you do. You tell people you have these close bonds, and then you break them. So he obviously doesn't believe you, but she thinks that she's so suave. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Do you think there's any part of her that does actually mean it when she says like, "I'm not going to go after you"? Like just her realizing that there's no reason to go after him?
No.
Or you think she's just petty?
She's petty.
I mean, they're both 100%. Petty. They're both very petty.
But like Tyson's open about his pettiness, which is why we like it. It's that West thing. It's like, yeah, I'm making a petty choice and I'm pissed about this. But Sarah pretends that everything is like my game and I'm so
loyal and
good standing person and everything I do is morally correct. And like I just I don't know. I'm not into it.
I know. I mean, I'm happy that she's on this season for the fact that she's definitely really created an opposition that's like hateable. Like it's just
we need to have these oppositions. Like honestly, like, and I take an opposition like her. It's same with like a Fessy thing, except for Fessy, I'm done. I don't need any more of that.
Yeah, I know. I'd prefer Sarah over Fessy.
Yeah, yes,
for sure.
You know what? That's a win for her. We pick her over Fessy, and I pick her over
if
Zach.
That was the daily. Maybe she would be like, you know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I would pick Fessy over Sarah.
Why?
I think Fessy like brings something to the table. I don't like Fessy, but I mean he's gonna come on. He's gonna hook up. He's gonna cause some drama.
Yeah,
and like Sarah's drama is just. It's not as fun for me to watch. Like Josh and Fessy and Casey, like they're super boring when they're like game wise, but I think Fessy does bring a little bit more to the table in terms of like physicality, hookups.
Like breaking Casey's knee, like or whatever.
Blaming everything on his partners. Like I don't know. They have some similarities for sure. They definitely have some similarities.
They definitely think that they're both better than they actually are.
Yeah.
But I guess like maybe because like I see how he acts with women, and like that really bothers me a lot. So that's probably why. Maybe it's just like the opposite sex style is like why the other person is bothering us more than, you know what I mean? Like maybe I don't know. So Leo gets a Skype call from his girlfriend. I was like, oh man, he's done.
That's when I was like, this his day is over. I mean, he's either quitting right now or he's just going home.
I have so many thoughts and feelings about this segment.
Tell me it all.
So yeah, as everyone knows, his girlfriend's like, the businesses are fucked. You know, you have these restaurants, we're losing all this money, the credit card thing isn't working. Like everything's bad and everyone's mad at you and la la la. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go, and whatever. We'll move on from there.
Like, he like packing his bag and shit like that. Like, I was pissed.
And honestly, but this is my thing, man. That is his girlfriend, and she's saying that to him. You knew he was going on this show. He's getting paid regardless to be on the show. He's making money to be on the show. He's looking to make a large sum of money. He may not win that money, but you agreed that he was going away to be on this TV show. And on TV, you are gaslighting him and guilt tripping him so hard.
It wasn't good.
Everyone's mad at you now. And then he's like, I guess I'll go. And she's like, yeah. Ew. Break up with her, Leo.
I definitely felt the same way.
That is a toxic person. Like, for someone to guilt you when you know, it's the same thing with Jenna and Zach. Like, that made me so irrationally angry. Like, in that moment, I was like, regardless of whether he leaves, stays, like, I'm mad at his girlfriend. Like, that's who I'm mad at right now. More than him. Because, like, she guilted him so hard. Like, you know, like, it's his business. Like, he's the one who's losing. So,
yeah.
like,
I definitely agree with you that I was really uncomfortable. Like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, she's so pretty. Like, oh, like Leo's girlfriend. I was like, so like smiley about her, but like worried that she was going to be going home because of the fact that like he's having a Skype call. Like, is that the first Skype call of the season? Like, I think so. And so I was definitely really worried. But then I was like, why is she so annoyed? Like, if she like, go hire somebody else then, or just say like, hey, I got to shut the business down. I can't do it without him. And just be like, that's what I have to do. I'm really sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just make a decision of some
have
sort.
A conversation with, he's on a fucking show away from you. They only get a certain amount of phone calls. They don't get a lot of time to communicate with their family and stuff, and just say, you know, this is the situation. I'm in Argentina. It would take me this much amount of days to get back anyway. I'm playing the game. There's only a certain amount of weeks left, probably not very long, because they do things like every other day or whatever. And it's like, you know, we agreed, and this is really important to me. Like, I do wish he said that, but she was so hard guilting him. Like, she should have been like, okay, I'm struggling here. I'm letting you know that it's a struggle. I wish you were here right now. Is there someone else that you know that we can contact to try to like get this, you know, to help us out? Is it okay if I use some money to like hire extra people for this time to help us?
Yes.
I might have to close it down for a few days. Like, whatever emergency needs to happen, like, don't be like, like, I was so, oh man, I was just so annoyed. I was so
Matthew,
annoyed.
did you have the same response?
Yeah. So, I mean, at first when I saw him go into the room, like pulled up the screen, my first thought was like, oh, I hope everything's okay. And then my second thought was, wow, Leo's girlfriend is very attractive. And then she opened her mouth. And then she started just going off on him, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so sad. I feel bad for the guy.
I feel bad for him."
So it was very
like, he's doing
awkward
something
scene.
That's like gonna bring in money, bring in business, bring in like success, and like he learns that like $45,000 were lost in the week, and like I guess like I really prefer when people bring solutions or are asking questions or trying to find an option. Like, I don't think an option should have been for him to leave the game and come home. I don't think that solves it, because like you said, Michelle, it's going to take a certain amount of days for him actually to be able to get back and like fix something. So what can he troubleshoot, brainstorm, figure it out? But I guess like she just wanted to be angry and kind of lay in on him on national television. It was really uncomfortable, and I was really sad for Leo.
Yeah, and I also thought it was very interesting that the show actually showed that conversation. I mean, for all the talk we get of Kiki every week, we haven't seen her once on screen. We haven't seen anyone else. So I feel like they could have kind of told the story of Leo threatening to quit without showing that conversation. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of strange to me that they did choose to show that.
I thought it was good that they did, because obviously I want to know what's the real tea. But if they had just showed him deciding to leave, I would have been annoyed with him.
Right.
And
maybe they don't want us to be mad at Leo.
Yeah, because I think his storyline is this guy who's an underdog. No one wants to be his partner. He keeps losing, but he keeps making it through, and he always is willing to try, and he's a happy-go-lucky, good personality. He's like the nice guy, right? Like, but no one really likes him that much, you know? And I don't think it would make sense to to like paint him as someone that's like less likable. So I'm glad that they showed it, but I agree. I was kind of like, they could have not shown this and just been like him being like, my business is like, I gotta go.
I think they did it for the fact that they wanted this episode crescendo for his storyline.
And I will also say, this gives a huge thing for the Alyssa storyline of this episode, which was excellent, I thought. She's definitely a contender for MVP because like, I just love the, showing that. And then you get to see her speak to him. We get to see her be like, listen, give it the night. Like, she didn't push it too hard. If she'd pushed it too hard, he could have just left and snapped. She was like, let's just wait till the morning. And like, kind of gave it a good amount of space, but still was like, hey, this is important for me and for you and all that.
Absolutely. And like, the fact that Leo, he did 3 times. He was on The Amazing Race, or 3 or 4. I know he's on this show. Like, he probably is able to open up those businesses because of these TV shows that he was on, for the fact that like people are like, oh my God, I want to go to one of the Afghanimals restaurants or bars or whatever it is. Like, part of his success, I'm sure, is due to the fact that he's been on TV so many times. And so like, I think that giving him, like Alyssa convincing him to take the night to sleep on it, he's probably like, wait, I can't go and quit on this, because like, if I'm not going to be somebody that they can rely on, that they call me, I will do what I do and complete a season, like that could be a lot of future money that's down the drain, and none of this would be worth it. So I think that it's really great what Alyssa did. I was really happy with how she handled it. I was very nervous when the bags were being packed, and I was like, oh my God, and the Skype call, and I'm like, wow, this could really, really suck.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. The fact that like, if he quits, they're not going to invite him back, probably.
No, of course
not.
Right?
I mean, Tina can quit and come back. That's fine.
And that's different, but
when it comes to, if you're a newbie, like if he makes it really far, even if he doesn't win, they'll invite him back. So if it's
on CBS, they're not as lenient though, I think too. Cause like, I think there's been a few Big Brother players that aren't even invited to the reunion because they quit the game. So like, I don't think that they would take quitting very lightly. Yeah. CBS.
Yeah.
MTV, a little more lenient.
Yeah.
With their stars anyways. I don't know if it was like a one-time player, if they would invite them back if they quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like Ashley's quit like 2 or 3 times.
Well, Ashley, that one time when she didn't have her clothes or whatever, and she freaked out on like the first night. But like, she was already an icon by that time, so we had to keep her. We had to bring her back.
Like this Leo situation really was reminding me of the situation a couple seasons back with Jenna and Zach, where Jenna shows up to the room and Zach is just going off on her, gaslighting her, and like trying to get her to quit. And then like her mind was kind of out of the game the whole time. And she ended up staying. And I think
she won that challenge. Tori. She went against Tori. Yeah.
Yeah.
She beat Tori, and then she won it again and lost.
But the problem with when situations like that happen is like the rest of the house kind of thinks your head is not in the game, and it makes you a threat later on. So I mean, I know there's only a couple weeks left, but I'd be pretty worried for Leo. I'd probably be worried for him regardless. But the fact that like they might see his head not being in the game, I could see him being a threat the next couple weeks as well.
Yeah,
to go home.
Yeah, especially if people are trying to get some money, he might be an option.
Yeah,
true.
So we have recreational driving as this week's daily. Basically, they're in cars. They have balloons attached to them, I guess, or big balls, and they have the driver is blindfolded, and their partners in the passenger seat directing them, and so they're trying to be the last car standing with the most amount of balloons or balls. What do you guys think of this daily?
You go first.
Oh no, go ahead.
I thought it was not my favorite daily. I thought it was kind of funny. I do like these kind of dailies because I like to have a daily that anybody can win every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about brute strength or endurance or anything like that. It's a lot about communication. And honestly, I mean, I did watch it in reverse. Obviously, the episode, I watched the second half first. So I already knew it was going to go down. But I was like, no, Cayla is perfect for this if she's the communicator. Because she's loud and she is very like, I feel like she seems like the kind of person I would want to direct me if I was blindfolded in a challenge. Like she just seems like someone that I would want. Someone I wouldn't want is like, there's many up like Sarah or like people who would just be like blah blah blah.
Well,
like,
Sarah was obviously driving, right?
Right. This is her life. This is her life. This is what she does every day. She's in the driver's seat every day, like her life.
And I thought it was really funny at the beginning of the challenge. We see like all the partners kind of like doing their little jokes before it starts, and just like crickets between Sarah and Tyson. Like no words. So Matthew, did you like this challenge?
I mean, I think this challenge would have been really fun to play in, but I didn't really love watching it. I agree with Michelle. It wasn't one of my favorite challenges to actually watch. I did also kind of appreciate the fact that anyone could win. And whereas most of the other challenges this season, I feel like Tyson and Sarah just would have dominated, and that would have been that. So I did like that anyone could have won. I just found it a little difficult to watch. And definitely was not one of my favorites this season.
Hi, Taylor. So Taylor pretty much agrees with us here. I appreciate the change in power this episode. Very timely shift. Yeah, because like with having a daily like this, it's anybody's game. Like you don't know who's going to be really good at directing someone blindfolded. Anybody could be really. And so I like that it gave the ability to switch up the power in this episode. Yes, I want Tyson and Angela to do well. But like, I also enjoy when they are struggling because then they play and I get to watch them get out of trouble. So I appreciated the power shift this episode, and it was due to it being a little bit more of a random daily as opposed to, like you said, Michelle, brute strength, endurance, or, brains. It was just like communication, and we'll see who does well. And some people though, like didn't do too poorly, but then they ended up like veering off into like the side like banks, and they weren't able to get out, and they were kind of disqualified. So I agree with you, Matthew, with like I didn't mind it, but like the fact that I couldn't really tell who was where and like what's the best strategy to try to get someone off the road, it was like hard for me to play along with them. And so it's just kind of like I'm watching, like it's like, are you really having fun watching someone play Mario Kart? You know what I mean? It's like it's only fun when you're playing.
Yeah, and I think my issue with this daily was at the beginning of the daily, it looked like Leo and Alyssa were doing a great job, and then 5 seconds later, they're disqualified and they're in last place. So it was just like everything was changing super quickly, and it was just for me, it was just a little hard to track. But I like the concept of it, and it would definitely be real fun to play in something like that.
Totally would be fun. Totally. Chris agrees with us. Michelle, Sarah is greater than Fessy. Hilarious. Hi, Jessica. So Jessica says, I agree with Michelle. The girlfriend definitely rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. It was really, I mean, maybe they showed it because they're not together anymore. Like, I don't know.
I certainly hope so.
Like, she signed a release to like allow that footage to be shown. So like, I mean, if I was letting my boyfriend have it on TV, I'd be like, I'm not signing the release. I do not want to be on TV. Like for sure.
Yeah.
Ox. Hi, Zudaman. Everyone's looking great tonight. Well, thank you. I'm assuming you do as well. So we do get a Kiki sighting. Kiki cameo.
Yes, Kiki cam.
We hear that he drives his wife Kiki around all the time because apparently Kiki can't drive very well. So I would love now to see if they do a Bloodline series, like some similar challenge where Kiki has to be the driver. Which, we're lobbing you up here, MTV. Come on, let's just do it. So I was frustrated because like we just got Leo to stay overnight, do the challenge. Like I was really hoping that Alyssa and him were going to win because it seemed like they were communicating pretty well, and they kind of got stuck in the bank and they were out. So they were out first. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, but then I was thinking, because remember how Matthew and I were talking at the very beginning of the season, how TJ was super pumped about Alyssa. And I was like, I don't know if she'd be super pumped about Alyssa if she went home now. So I kind of just had it lingering a little bit that she must be doing something impressive, maybe this episode, in order to get those accolades from TJ. So I wasn't too scared, but obviously because they're going in, like a little bit.
I if I had watched it in regular time, I think that I would have been really like, oh shit, they're going home. Because we already see with Dom and Cayla winning, I'm like, okay, the people that they've been talking about this whole time is the big three, the Angela, Tyson, Kyland, and I'm like, any of those three
will probably beat them.
I would put my money on them. But then I was thinking about how TJ was like, Alyssa was so great, and I'm like, well, maybe, she's done pretty well, and like she's made it really far, and like I don't know, like maybe it'll be some twist and later on and someone will get hurt and she'll get to come back. Like I was like thinking like ahead. I was like, because there's no like there's a chance, but like I wonder what it would be. So I was already like my head would have been spinning, I think.
Yeah, so I was the main reason I was super nervous for them when Dom and Cayla ended up winning, to kind of fast forward a couple seconds here, when they won, and I knew like, okay, they're probably gonna put in either Kyland and Kyra or Angela and Enzo. And I was going into it thinking there was only 2 episodes left and we were going to get the hall brawl and pole wrestle. So I'm like, okay, well, either one of those teams are going to crush Alyssa and Leo in a pole wrestle or hall brawl. So I was really nervous for them. And then when they got to the elimination and I saw the structure of it, I'm like, oh, maybe they could win this against someone, and I guess there is an extra episode, so good news all around if you're an Alyssa and Leo fan and if you're a fan of extra episodes.
Woo! Extra episodes. So we at one point, I mean, everybody got eliminated at one point, but Sarah and Tyson were out. As I was rooting for them to win because I was still thinking that they were going to win at this point. Like I was still thought that that's how the episode was going to go. But she's out. But then we hear her confessionals that she might want to go in and take Alyssa's money, and I was like,
I bet so much money that she said all that, but then right before the elimination, she went to Dom and was like, don't do it, just throw in one of the others, because she chickened out and she wants to puff her chest out. But I feel like in the end, I feel like she would have thought it was too much of a risk. I feel 100%. Like she probably said to him, if it seems purely physical with nothing else involved, like if it's like a collision-y type thing, then definitely throw us in. If not, like I bet you she's just too scared. Like talks the talk, but
yeah, Danita's is basically saying that as well. Do we really think that Sarah would know how many albums Adele has and times Madonna's been married?
And Tyson wouldn't know that either because he doesn't.
He would know it more than she would, but like probably not really. So I was shocked though that Cayla and Domenick were going to win this one. How'd you feel, Michelle, with your number 1 guy pick?
Wait, with Dom?
Yeah, winning.
I forgot he was my first pick. I was really happy. He didn't bother me in this episode as much as he has before. But I was more honestly happy for Cayla, who isn't even on my team. But like, I was very happy for her to get that win. Feel like we'll get to it later, but like her talking about how there's some certain individual who has never spoken game with her, and I was like, how telling is that? That people just discount these people, certain people, as not being worth the time when you're having one-on-ones with everybody else, but this person either isn't an appealing option for you to speak to and you don't think is important. And I think like that to me, I was like, So I was very happy for her. And I was hoping, like, I really hope that she throws in Kyland. Like, that would be.
Yeah, when she said that, I knew instantly she was talking about Kyland. And they tried to make it seem like it might have been Angela.
I actually thought it was Angela. Yeah.
I was thinking immediately, this seems and sounds like Kyland.
Yeah.
So wait, was there other like a specific moment that you guys saw him like avoiding everybody else? Because like I don't enjoy Kyland as a game player, but I haven't really noticed him having conversations.
No, I didn't notice it. Like I didn't notice it in watching the show, but just when she first mentioned it, and I just knew because I think Angela was also one of the people she was maybe considering who probably didn't really talk any game with her. But as we see later on, Angela does communicate with her and like talks to her quite a bit. And Angela's smart enough to at least do that. And so I think that's the factor that changed it as well. Like I think she maybe would have considered Angela as well, but also consider the fact that Dom and Enzo are friends. So even though Dom was like, I gotta consider it, I think if he had another choice that was still vengeful but wasn't putting his friend in, he's probably going to do that because that's what we would do. Like that's what most.
And you want to run against Enzo in the final.
And you want to run against Enzo in the end. He's going to be scared. He can't swim. Like there's so many factors.
Like, is he going to jump off the helicopter? Like, you know, like what's like?
Yeah.
No, probably not. So Angela, though, is terrified that Dom might want to throw her in for revenge. But I guess they're not realizing how the final might be set up, that Dom is going to want Angela in the final.
Yeah, which he eventually comes to that conclusion. He eventually comes around to that.
But even for Angela to be scared, I was like, Angela, like, definitely when you talk to Dom, just be like, hey, like, you are going to be running the final. Let's run this final together. Like, you will do better with me than, you know, without me, with some of the other partners. And so I would probably play that up with Domenick for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to say something, Matthew? I might have cut you off.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really interesting format because technically Cayla should have wanted Angela and Enzo to go, and Dom should have wanted Kyland and Kyra to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting that the power couple should technically have like a different perspective, but we are seeing, I mean, seemingly an agreement. And I guess when some players are potentially somewhat motivated by revenge, it helps. And I mean, I don't think for Cayla it was like necessarily a bad move to throw in Kyland and Kyra here. Kyra seems to be like decently strong, so I don't think it was horrible for her by any means. But I definitely think it was great for Dom to not get Angela in there and instead get Kyland in and out.
And also realistically, like Angela's not only like, you know, gymnastic-y, all those things that Alyssa is, and taller and more experienced and has done, you know, I feel like she would have just climbed on Enzo and forced him and done it herself. Like, I feel like it's so much more of a risk to like have the person come back. So perhaps Kyra, while is still kind of strong, is kind of like, well, that's only one enemy because Kyra doesn't really have much power.
Yeah, I wouldn't be scared of any retaliation from Kyra. Whatsoever. So we go into deliberation. Leo and Alyssa, I didn't write down anything really. They kind of are willing to go against anyone, it seems. I guess like they just didn't want to throw anybody under the bus. And also I think Leo should have maybe said something being like, you know, hey, if I'm going in, like I want to make sure that we win because Alyssa already has money here. So I would have hoped that he would have maybe given a suggestion, but I didn't write anything down, but I don't know if I just like blinked.
Yeah, they basically just said, like, Alyssa said afterwards, like, they're going to use it against me, which I thought was a weird thing to say because I don't, like, Cayla's not going to use what you say against you and Leo. So yeah, I thought it was a little strange.
Week, though, like if they had that information.
I think that's a little bit of like Big Brother thought process. I see it as they're just going to use this against me, because my mind might also go there, even though logically Cayla, Leo, she's going to want to do something to help him. Why would she screw you over while you're working with him, right? We already know that. Alyssa hasn't thrown in Dom. She could easily just be like, hey, I haven't thrown you in when I did have the power. You know, maybe we haven't been the tightest. Obviously, both of us are a little bit smaller. So if there's people that you think that we have a better chance to beat and we can get rid of someone who otherwise would be mad at you, that would be awesome. Like, what can we come to? And like, I feel like there could have been a discourse there.
Unless like maybe everybody that would be an option. Maybe they all had money. Maybe it was like the winner thing that didn't want to go against that, because if they did come back, then maybe they'll be like, well, she already broke the winner's code. So let's throw Alyssa back in. And Alyssa is smaller. If I was one of the winners and that maybe everybody has money left, it would be a reason to maybe throw Alyssa in. She's smaller, and if she had started the war, then maybe it'd be easier to throw her in. So I can understand maybe now, like this point in the game, but before, like a few episodes ago, no, I don't think that it's a worthy argument.
And honestly, I think the only team that, looking at the partners, the only team that I would have potentially wanted to suggest would be David and Cash.
Yeah.
That was really the only team that on paper was a little bit weaker. The other teams, I mean, pretty strong. So I guess it doesn't hurt to not throw names out. I mean, they could have said David and Cash.
But they were never going to throw them in anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, it was kind of pointless. They were always going to go for one of their people that they want to get payback for. So.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, I respect that on Dom and Cayla's part. I mean, it's like I like Tyson. I've been liking Angela. Kyland has been like physically strong, and it's not fun to see the same people just dominate through the whole season. So I was happy to see Dom come out and say, I want one of these three out and actually follow through with it. So yeah, I was impressed by Dom and Cayla.
Totally impressed. And so I'm also really impressed with Angela. So I was thinking that it was Angela who Cayla was talking about, because a lot of people do think she's the ice queen and that she doesn't really talk game with a lot of people. And she's, always relying on her strength and her alliance with this other strong people. And so I could see Cayla feeling as though, Angela hasn't really been talking any game with her. So that's who I originally thought it was that she was talking about, because like it wouldn't really matter to her that much if Kyland is in the game or not, because he's a decently strong partner. Even though actually I think he'd be a shitty partner because he doesn't listen that often. And I think
I agree. And also like him being in power, like he will throw her in because he doesn't care, because he doesn't consider her whatever. So it's also just like protection for her. Now that she has enough money to run the final, she doesn't have to go into any eliminations. Like if she can avoid that.
Absolutely. And so like I was thinking though, like getting out Angela though would be better for her, because running against Angela in the final would be a big problem. So that's kind of also why I was kind of thinking that Angela was the person that she wants to try to get out. And so I thought that Angela did a really great job with like what she was offering up to Cayla, and like this protection. Like if I were to win any of the dailies, you would never be an option to be going down. And it's a possibility that I would win these dailies. And I do believe that Angela is a person of her word and a person that can win these next dailies. So I thought it was a very good decision to say these things to both her and Dom. And so like they want her to be around to help protect them. So I think that she did a good job.
Agreed.
Angela, keeping her out of the fire. Did Kyland speak to either of them? Did we see that?
No. Or he went in and he spoke to the two of them together and was mainly looking at Dom and being like, yeah, like there's some things that could be mutually beneficial, like, yeah, whatever. And like kind of got his like old vibe that he used to have in Big Brother that I did not enjoy. And it's hard because like we've seen, like he really loves the game. He cares about it. He's done his research, I don't hate him on the show. Like I think that he really respects the show and respects the game. And like, he's not a poor sport necessarily in this. But poor move to not try to speak like you should be having one-on-ones with every single person if you're gonna like have some sort of relationship with each person when you have days where you're doing nothing, right? Like there are days where you're not doing challenges. So what are you doing for your game on those days? Are you saying hi to each person at some point? Are you having some sort of back and forth? Like,
have they been partnered up?
Kyland and Cayla? I don't recall.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think he's a great partner necessarily. Like maybe for brute strength stuff, but he's very much his way or the highway. Yeah. We do notice that a little bit in, spoiler alert, the elimination. But before we get to there, Dom really wants to take a stab at Angela. I'm like, no, he should want to run with her. Like, stop it, Dom. Like, think properly. Like, you don't really want to take out Angela, but maybe it's just a soundbite or his confessional that they kind of ask him both sides of the coin. But I was like, no, Dom, you want to run with Angela, like get on her good side. So Danita's with us here, didn't really want Dom to win, but glad Cayla got one under her belt. Yes, I'm happy Cayla is likely to run the final, which is really great. I think she deserves to run it, and I want to see how she's going to do. For sure. So Sarah and Tyson are having the conversation that we see in the preview, and we don't realize that Sarah actually is the person that's been asking to be going in. We were kind of speculating that it was maybe like going to be Danny or somebody, or Danny and Cayla, depending, that want to maybe go in and take somebody's money. But instead, it actually was Sarah who had asked Dom to maybe throw them in when Tyson was saying that people are saying that they want to go in. She's like, who? I didn't realize that she was like,
and you
outing
see
herself.
her face get kind of pink, like
who?
Yeah, that was weird because I was thinking, like, does Sarah not want Tyson to know that she wants to go in? And if that's the case, I mean, that's a horrible strategy because then he's going to get thrown in
And
unexpectedly. Yeah,
and
you want
he's
to
your
be prepared.
partner. Why are you trying to make him sweat and make him flustered on the week when you're partners, when he could directly affect your ability to still be in the game? It makes no sense.
But
The other funny thing is, I mean, Sarah really had no reason to want to go in, partly because it just is stupid to want to go in, but also odds are one of either Sarah herself, Ben, Tyson, or Angela is going to win the next daily. One of the four will win the next daily. And if Sarah wins, she's eligible to run the final. If Ben wins, Sarah can just ask Ben to throw her in next week or 2 weeks from now. And if Tyson or Angela win, they're throwing her in anyways. So odds are you're going to have a chance to go in if you don't win a daily. So you don't need to do it when there's still 8 teams left in the... if there was 5 teams left and the final is coming up next, different story. But she has so many outs going forward.
And we've not seen it happen yet that they don't allow people to be qualified for the final.
Honestly,
right?
I think it will never happen.
Exactly.
They're always going to find a way to have everyone be eligible, whether it's a purge challenge, an extra elimination. It's just, these twists are just to kind of get people into elimination so the fans can see it. But I mean, with the skull twist, with this, I don't think we're ever going to see someone actually disqualified.
I'd love that though. It'd be like, you should have done better.
It would be funny if it happened to Sarah after all this.
Don't kill me. That'd be too good. That would be too good. So yes, in that conversation, Kyland doesn't want to go against a good friend. I guess the good friend is Alyssa. I was like, okay, they're friends now. So we get to the elimination. It is called Ball and Chain. So Leah and Alyssa, we know, are going down, and we learned that they do decide to throw in Kyland, and we get confirmation that it's because Kyland doesn't talk game to Cayla. Like, he talks to everybody else but her, doesn't respect her in the game, doesn't want to work with her in the game. And that really sucks. But like, Kyland, play a better game, play a better social game. It's not all about winning the challenges. It is also about the people along the way. So he'll get a lesson. That's a lesson in the challenge.
I truly think, like, if he's watching the episodes, which obviously this is a huge lesson for him, because if he fixes this issue, he can be unstoppable. He could do very well. If he just learns, oh, right, okay, even if someone is like, I don't see them as an option, I need to be having those conversations.
Because you never know who's going to win power. And you
exactly.
need to be good with everybody.
You never know. Exactly.
You need to have a couple enemies that you can throw in if you need to, and you need to be friends with most people,
Yeah.
So they're going to have to answer 6 questions, and each question is going to be a numbered answer, and each numbered answer is a medicine ball that is kind of being caged away by chains. And so these medicine balls looked heavy, and they have to place the correct answer like on a very high, it seems at least like 6 or 8 feet high, tall ledge where they can put their numbered medicine ball. So I wrote down all the questions. They're all pretty easy for the most part. How many dimes in $5? We learned that Alyssa was a gymnast and did cheerleading. I think I knew she did cheerleading. I didn't know she was a gymnast. So that also is going to be helpful to know that she might even do a little bit better, because there might be some other challenges that she could excel at. I had no idea how many albums Adele had. I was like,
I do,
25
4.
and 30. Like
There's 19,
okay.
21,
21,
25,
and
30.
I only remember 25 and 30, but I knew that they were all
ages,
like landmarks.
Yeah.
Sorry, those are the names of her albums.
Yeah.
Numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the age she was when she like wrote the album kind of vibes.
Yeah.
So I
it's
knew
all
her
about-
first one was 19, and then I knew it went 21, 25, 30. So I was like,
I would have probably been able to talk that out with my partner, though. I'm like, it's all
Yeah.
landmark ages. I know
but the
25 and
Madonna
30.
thing, I would have been guessing.
Well, Madonna, I would have been like, is there more than 2? Because we know Guy Ritchie was
Yes.
1, and then Sean Penn was another. But I would be like, I don't know if she's married anybody else after that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if the answer was 2, but that's the only thing that I know.
Yeah.
Or those 2 people I know. The first number in pi, we know that 3.14. So how many times can you divide 12 into 144? We know 2 times 12 is 144. Not hard. How many lives does a cat have? We know that 9. They're all laughing because Leo, revealed that question. And of course, Leo gets the cat question. How many items in a baker's dozen? We know that 13. How many Spice Girls? Well, see how Kyland, he's like, oh, there's 4. And she's like, Ginger. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. You have 5.
Yeah, like that moment, I was like, do not say to a female, oh, this is how many Spice Girls there are. No, we know how many Spice Girls there are. Come on. Well, she's quite young, but still, like, let us figure it out.
And she was just kind of like, Ginger? Like, she was still kind of nervous to like say to him because he's so matter of fact and like it's his way and he's always right. And so
CT became a better partner. Maybe he can too, or maybe he'll become worse. Who knows?
Yeah, Kyland is such an interesting guy to me. I mean, he's like, we've seen him in 2 games now, like two years in a row, and he has this he has the same mentality in both games where it's like his perceived strongest players like need to stick together no matter what, but he dismisses players that are strong players because they're not his version of strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for him, I don't want to say it's necessarily like strictly like a man-woman thing, but from what we've seen, it seems like he often is dismissing strategically sound women.
Yep.
And
look at what he did to Tiffany.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Tiffany,
Mm-hmm.
Cayla. I mean, Kyra was like trying her best, and the whole competition, he was just kind of, I wouldn't say lashing out, but he was kind of going at her a little bit aggressively at some points. And I don't know, Kyla, like, he seems like a nice enough guy, but there's something about him is just
something's off. Something's off. And it's like, the way Fessy treats every female partner awfully, and it's not quite that level of blatant awfulness necessarily.
It's still subtle.
But it's subtle. It's like this subtle misogyny a little bit, and it almost like, it bothers me a lot.
Yeah, they're very similar in that they think like Kyland and Fessy and a lot of other men from the challenge, to be fair, they have this warped perception that muscles equal strength in the game. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, it can be the case in specific eliminations, but I mean, you get a pole wrestle one every 10 times. You get a hall brawl once a season. Everything else, I mean, you're using more than just your arms.
Agents, but
yeah,
and to win a final, which is the most important thing, the number one thing you have to have is endurance. And often being really large, it's actually harder to win. Like,
you usually cramp up. But I guess like with the culture of the challenge, I don't know if Kylan would know this, but remember how it used to be more team based and they would always try to get out all the women because they wanted to be able to run the final and win. And remember, like, there's like time when it's just Susie there. Like, I think that the culture of the challenge did allow for it to be brute strength over anything else that a woman might be able to offer. And so that, to answer Sophie's question for the beginning, that's probably also one of the reasons why it's mixed sex teams, because if it was a physical challenge and it was a guy team against a girl team, chances are the guy team would win. And I think that, with the type of challenges that they have on the show, it's not always balanced for male and female strength.
Yeah. And Kyland definitely would have loved to play the challenge in the days of the mob.
Oh yeah,
and,
he'd be like,
he would be
like, oh, I want to be on the island. The island's my favorite season.
Exactly. He would be like right there, like doing Johnny and Kenny and Evan's dirty work. Like he would be another Derek.
Yeah, he would be.
And then they would cut him, no problem, and he would keep going back to them season after season.
So a couple other questions. How many children does Angelina Jolie have? How many stomachs does a cow have? And how many senses do humans have? So most of them were pretty easy. And then I don't know what the other medicine balls that hadn't been used are, but I feel like a process of elimination ended up being how they got some of the unsure numbers. So it got really like nail biting at the end because like
truly
I was nervous.
That was a brutal elimination, I thought.
It was brutal. And like both sides kept having setbacks, falling, getting questioned wrong, getting them closer. Like it really was a lot of back and forth. And I was rooting for Leo and Alyssa, because for my draft, even though I'm losing anyway, but also just because I love an underdog story. But I felt bad for Kyra.
I did, but especially hearing like Kyland being like, yeah, her arms are giving out on her. And I'm just like,
she did them though. She put up each one.
That's hard.
And she kept switching them. Like she's the one doing that part. Like he didn't even try to be like, hey, what if I try that? Like he didn't even try to be open about anything else. He's already like ready with his excuses of why it's her fault instead of his.
Yeah. And Kyland must have like 6 inches on Leo too. So there should have been a pretty significant advantage there just from the reach.
Maybe because Alyssa is a lot lighter and maybe is a little bit more agile. Because like I think Alyssa's probably like, I don't know, 5'4", it looks like, maybe 5'5". And I think that Kyra is like 5'9" or 5'10". So definitely she's thin, of course, but she's definitely gonna be heavier. So that could have been a contributing factor as well. But I was nervous because like I did not want Cayla and Alyssa to go. And I was kind of fine with Kyland going. So I was like, that better not. That's better be how this episode ends, that he was trying to leave and, you know, he stays in the game and now he's qualified to run the final. And now there's no reason for him to leave because he has a shot at a lot of money, life-changing money. So he does win.
Yeah.
Alyssa and Leo win.
I also think it's a really kind of fun subplot that's like Alyssa broke up the Cookout Alliance, and now she's the last woman, the last person from BB23 standing.
Crazy.
So they've just gone out like week after week for the last 5 weeks now, 4 or 5 weeks. So she's the last one standing now, and I'm curious to see if she can make it through another couple weeks and get to that final. And yeah, I mean TJ certainly hypes her up, so I think
I think after this episode, like she doesn't need to do anything else to deserve the hype she's gotten from CBS so far. Agreed. Like I think that this was a good showing, getting out the Xavier, like doing pretty well in the season. I think that she's done enough. So if she does even more, like I'm impressed. But
and I think at this point, like it would be pretty surprising to me if we don't see Alyssa back, whether on the second season of this or the main show.
And TJ says that this was one of his favorite eliminations ever. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good
agree.
one.
Honestly, it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was fun and it was easy to follow along, and it seemed just so hard on the 4 of them. So I mean, kudos to them for all being pretty close there. I thought it was a really fun one to watch.
And do you think that they could have used the medicine ball to stand, like get Kyland to stand on it, like, and then pick up another one? You know what I mean? Like, I just wonder if they could have done that or if they had to piggyback or hoist up their partner.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been pretty dangerous if they tried to.
I don't know.
It's like slip and fall. And
yeah, I feel like you could slip and fall easily.
Aren't they kind of like sand weighted though? Like I feel like they don't roll.
Yeah, but they're only this big, right? So if you're trying to put both your feet on and they're on like an
hard
angle.
to grip. Yeah, I feel like they probably would have told them not to do that. Just out of like safety
Danger.
for the person on top of you, especially.
No, I wouldn't say like don't put the person on top of you. I'm just saying that like, you know, he might be tall enough with like the 1.5 feet or so of the medicine ball so that she could just pass him the other medicine ball and put that up. I don't know. I was just
or the girl, I would have gone on one knee and put my hands like this, and I would have said, "You hold the ball right now. Take one step. I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to breathe out. You're going to take a step, and you're going to put it on." I would have tried that. Like, why not?
Yeah. Maybe it was a little higher than we think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
That's possible. It couldn't. Well, I just seems like Alyssa and Leah are not that tall, so the fact that they had equal amount of trouble, like, I don't know. I feel like it's 6 feet tall, but maybe 8. I don't know. Well, that's pretty much it for the episode. Was there anything else that you want to talk about? Obviously, we're going to have to talk about MVP, but was there any other parts of the episode? Oh, yes, there is. The fact that there is some new twist. So let's do a quick speculation on what we think the twist is, because I know what I think it is.
I know what I think.
What do you think, Matt? Because Michelle and I probably think the same thing.
Yeah, I think he's just going to announce it's an individual game for their next few weeks. I don't think the only other option I was thinking is like, are they going to say pick your teams again? But I don't think so, just because there are still teams that have not been together. So what would be the point of doing that? Like at that point, just stick with the algorithm for another week. So I think it's going to be individual.
Yeah, I think it'll be individual, and then there'll be a top guy and top girl, and they can decide which guy and which girl, but they can decide any guy and any girl, but like they have to agree, kind of like, you know, other seasons. And then those people will go in against the loser female and the loser male. And it'll be like, as you said, like a hall brawl, pole wrestle, whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's going to be individual, and I'm excited. I love individual.
Yeah, individuals, it'll be great, especially with the final so close. The only thing I'm a little worried about is I hope they still do a male and female elimination. I hope it's not like next week is only male.
I don't think they will. They don't have enough time for that. I don't think.
No, they don't have time. Yeah.
So I agree with you, but I also think that it's going to be a mini final. It looks like, you know, like something super hard that like they're going to have to test a lot of different elements. Like, I don't think it's just going to be a traditional daily. I think it's going to be one of the mini finals. So they'll have to like carry something heavy. They'll probably have to do a swim. They'll probably have to, I don't know, something else. And then that determines obviously the losing team and the winning team. But I do think it's going to be a mini final. Which I think a mini final individuals is perfect. I want to see all the people that are like, I'm going to run the final. Yeah. Like, let's see how well they're going to do. So I'm excited to see how people do on the mini final. If it is
Me too.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the last thing I wanted to just kind of note is there are still 4 people unqualified for the final. So we touched on Sarah, but also Ben, Enzo, and Danny so those are the 4 that are unqualified. So I think at this point in the season, we might actually see some people volunteering to go in. And I mean, specifically, I can see that with Danny. He seems like he seems, I mean, just knowing, like us knowing from home that we still have a hall brawl and a pole wrestle left. Seems like a no-brainer that Danny can just volunteer to go in, easily win.
What if it's like Danny against like Ben? Ooh.
I would love that. I would love that. And the other thing is like, he's obviously going to try to win the daily first, but then but Danny has been second place so many times. Once again, so like I put my money that he might win depending on what the daily is. He's in this weird position where he's so good, but he hasn't really had a moment to shine yet. So a hall brawl could be that moment for him. And probably will be, or pole wrestle. Either way.
Yeah. Either if he ends up in one of those, I mean, he's gonna win. And yeah, I mean, if he ends up against Enzo or Ben, I mean, good riddance to those 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just hoping it's not against Tyson. I just don't want it to be against Tyson. That is all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think Tyson's going to escape. Tyson's going to go the whole season without an elimination. Unless at the very end, like Sarah or Ben gets power and throws him in. But I think Tyson's looking pretty good right now.
I agree. Matthew, anything from the Twitter streets this week?
No, nothing really. Just the I mean, we talked about the Ben blow up. That was really it from the podcast I listened to. Nothing major. I'm still waiting for Tyson's episode with bananas to
Yeah,
get
I looked
we
for
looked
it
for it,
today,
yeah.
and it wasn't there. Very upsetting.
Yeah, they apparently recorded over the weekend, so
Mhm.
maybe they pre-watched the episode and it's going to be released after this episode.
Fair.
But yeah, hopefully soon. So we'll be on the lookout for that for next week, and we'll report
Yeah.
then.
I would say, oh, you're going to talk about MVP, right?
I was going to say the only tweet that I saw, and it's just a little bit of a chuckle, is Stephen Fishback tweeted, "It's hard to root for Danny on the Challenge USA because it's not really clear if there's anybody back home that he's playing for."
Dead.
I definitely laughed, and I'm like, Stephen Fishback, that's some Aquarius humor that you got going on.
I'm obsessed, and also like, I just hope that Kiki must feel amazing because like he's mentioning her constantly.
You know, one thing I will actually I did see on Twitter, Desi posted something saying that the Kiki confessionals from Danny are not just like for the confessionals, like it's not just a joke by the producers, and that he talked about Kiki nonstop in the house too, and that he's just like, he seems like the sweetest guy. So like really like fun to see like this be like an ongoing thing on the show, but also behind the scenes, and he's just seems like the most loving husband. So I know Danny might be listening, so I hope to one day be like you, Danny.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean, we all strive. He's goals for sure.
I want to be somebody's Kiki for sure.
But I would say I'm conflicted for MVP between Cayla and Alyssa. So I need to know your thoughts on that. Because both are contenders for me.
They're both huge contenders.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards Alyssa for the fact that she had a lot more obstacles to overcome. So the fact that she had to keep a partner in a game and still keep him, calm, and like still going again against someone really strong and still being calm, cool, and collected, not complaining, lifting up those medicine balls and being the underdog and coming out with the win. I feel like I'm just a little bit more, this was her episode, I think, more than it was Cayla's episode, even though I think Cayla is a very strong contender.
Yeah, and I think normally I don't like to give MVP to someone that loses the daily, but I think this one was just very fluky. And I agree. I think Alyssa, just the way that Leo literally had a foot out the door, and she not only got him to reconsider, like sleep on it, and then get to the daily, but then even after losing the daily, it would have been so easy seemingly for Leo to then just leave, and she still kind of fought through that. And then
called herself Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I mean, she's Dr. Phil, and then she like won a grueling elimination that they were probably underdogs in, realistically.
Definitely.
So was impressed with Cayla, was impressed with Domenick and Angela as well. So kind of honorable mentions for me, for them, but I would agree on Alyssa.
All right. And Michelle, like, you want to hear your rebuttal for Cayla, or?
Well, it's just that like not only did Cayla win, but I really liked just her energy, and her reasoning behind the decision. Like for me, I'd want to throw someone in who's not talking any game with me, because if you're not talking game with me and I can see that you're talking with every other person,
it's a problem.
That's always going to be a problem for me, regardless. So, but the truth is that Alyssa, I agree, had more to fight against. And yeah, she had more to fight against, and it was a really impressive elimination. She kept going, like even when they were so close, and
she won with Leo.
She won with Leo, and like Sarah also won with Leo, fair, but like
in something that was against a physical competitor.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think that Cayla, I could easily give it to Cayla, but I think that Alyssa has a little bit more of an edge just because she had the chips stacked more against her this episode and still prevailed. So just lastly, before we finish up, we do have to remove from Team Fyre. We're gonna take away.
Oh my god, I lost another one. I didn't even realize.
I thought I had Kyra. I have
And
Kyland,
Team
man.
Celebrate. We're gonna lose another one.
Okay, but I got 15 points this episode, so
Yeah, man, you're killing it this episode. I only had Cayla over here.
yeah, but you have
With
a
a
million people left. You have the whole cast. You have the whole cast.
I have the whole cast. It's true. Ben and Enzo are two people that are not and Sarah are not qualified. So only half of my team is qualified, or a little bit more than half. So
jeez, my team is looking. Oh,
but everybody is qualified to run, so that's great. Same with except for Danny for Team Celebrate. So if we look at it that way, we have the same amount of people that are running the final.
Yeah,
we have 3 each. One
last question for you two. Now that
Sure.
seemingly the pairs are done, or so we expect, who would you say at this point is the favorite to win for the men and women?
I still feel strongly about Tyson and Angela.
Yeah.
I think that they've times where they've been in danger, they've been able to stay out of elimination. And I think the longer they stay out of elimination, they don't get rid of them, the harder it's going to be to get rid of them, because they will just, one of them will win and protect each other. So I do feel like they're quite favored to win this thing.
Yeah, I mean, my money's definitely on Tyson. For the women, yeah, my money's also on Angela, unless something crazy happens. But honestly, if Cayla makes it to the final and her endurance is better, we haven't really seen her endurance with running and stuff. So who knows, right? She's done the Amazing Race, in which you have to run for long periods of time and you have to go on no sleep and do a lot of stuff. So I do think that if Cayla makes it to the end, I think she has a harder path because, as you said, Angela's she's also good strategically. So I would say Cayla has a chance to win as well. And then I wouldn't put Justine out of the running if she's
that's true.
If she's,
I was gonna say, I think Tyson and Justine. I think
that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be
I
awesome.
Would be so happy for a Love Island person to win after all this shit.
Like, I'm wondering if that that Danny soundbite about Justine was maybe just setting up her winning. You know what I mean? Being like MVP of the season. You don't need to put that in necessarily.
I'm having a really tough time looking at the men left, seeing anyone other than Tyson winning, especially now with Kyland gone. Just both on a physical aspect and then also what we've seen on the show. I know last week we talked about David, and then this week David was pretty invisible again. So I'm having a real hard time seeing anyone other than Tyson at this point.
And so did he have enough money last episode? I don't think there was enough money.
No, because the people that he beat didn't have
it was
money.
They had $2,000. So
yeah, so he's a little closer. He's like 2,500 or 3,000 or something. So he just needs a little bit more money.
Yeah.
So win a daily or go down and beat somebody.
At this point, though, if you win an elimination or a daily, you should be safe because whoever you're going against is going to have money.
Yeah.
At this point, any of those 4 just have to win something and then they'll be qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is one last quick question that Danita has, which is a good one. And I haven't asked you guys this. So Danita says, Derek admitted that Kyland and Cash volunteered to go in last week's elimination in place of him and Shannon. So how do we feel about that? And do we wish that we would have saw that on the episode? Obviously I want to see that on the episode.
Yeah, but that's why.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's because they just thought that they would be able to beat Enzo, and I guess and Cash was playing hero to her best friend, knows that she's hurt, was hoping that come out with a win.
Who was Enzo's partner again?
Justine, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was Justine.
I mean, if that's
Cash
true,
would have been going against Justine. She wouldn't have wanted.
But she's best friends.
But she's best friends with Shannon.
Shannon, yeah.
You're right. I mean, obviously, I wish that they would have shown it, but I guess it didn't happen. So they didn't
no
need
reason
to.
I would have loved to see it happen, and then
I would have loved to see that.
And then Kyland lose, anyways.
Yeah, and would have sucked to see.
Yeah, losing Cash would suck, but it would be really funny to see someone volunteer and then lose.
Yes, it would. It would. I'm happy that they didn't do that in the end. Well, thank you both for being here. Michelle for figuring it out, being able to watch the episode so we can go live together today. Do either of you have anything going on that you would like the people to know about?
I'm just going to be watching a lot of Love Island. And
I know.
I'll
I'm
be
going to go
tuning
live
into
in like
your
half
channel.
an hour.
I'll be listening.
Yay! All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Also, here in the chat, you guys are awesome. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment as to who do you think was MVP of this episode. We have our contenders of Alyssa, we have Angela, and we have Cayla. Is there anybody else that we should have mentioned that we didn't? So, what were your thoughts of our MVP selection? And then also, who do you guys think are really a top contender to win this season? So we're kind of saying Tyson is a lock for the men and Angela or Justine most likely for the women. Do you guys have any differences of opinion? No spoilers, but we love all opinions.
And let us know if you prefer Fessy or Sarah.
Yes. Who is greater, Fessy or Sarah? Other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Ciao.